10? Could the United States remain undefeated at the end of the first stage? And could the UK hope to climb back towards the playoff spots and maintain their distance between them and the relegation zone in Mexico? France also looking to jump back into the playoff spots, while the Belgians are looking to remain as the top spot in their division and keep pace with the undefeated United States. This is DoA update from the Premier League to Division 3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the DoA Live League update. We go from the Premier League down through Division 3 as the first set of double round robins games concluded. Starting with round 10, let's kick right into the Premier League. First matchup, we had Hong Kong and Japan, the two Pacific Division teams looking to clash here. Hong Kong coming in with a 4-3 record. They had a +9 fight difference, second in the division, and they were looking to take the top spot at the end of this first stage of double round robin games. Well, Japan came in 3-4 on a -1 fight difference. They were fourth in division, but 10th overall, despite just being inside the playoff zone. Remember, the top 4 teams in each division out of 5 will make the playoffs at the end of the season. And this one was a back and forth affair. We had Hong Kong dropping or trading, I should say, sweeps with Japan early on to make it 1-1 before Japan took a 5-1 victory. Game 4 was a pivotal game, though. It went all 9 fights in the favor of Hong Kong. It was Hong Kong's Helena beating Jackie 5 rounds to 4 in that one. That gave Hong Kong the 2-2 tie. They actually dropped the next game after that against Japan, 5-1, but they went on a run to take the lead 4-3 after a 5-1 victory and a 5-0 sweep. Japan fought back with a 5-2 win, but Hong Kong shutting the door emphatically in Game 9, 5-0. So Hong Kong taking the win on that one. They improved to 5-3. The Japanese fell to 3-5 at the end of the first stage. That rolled right into the second game, also in the Pacific Division. This one between Singapore and Australia. Singapore coming in, they were 2-5. They were 5th in the division, 18th overall. They had an absolutely appalling -15 fight difference so far this season, and they needed to improve to try and claw themselves back into the playoff picture. Australia leading the division after the first 3 days of play, but now find themselves at 4-3, third in the division, but sitting 8th overall because of their +1 fight difference. They needed a boost as well to get them within the division title chase. And they started off well with a 5-2 win over Singapore, but Singapore would answer back with the sweep. Australia took Game 3 then 5-1, but Singapore again answering back with the sweep to make it 2-2. This was when the Aussies won Game 5. They won it 5-1. And Australia again, Singapore again answering back with the sweep. That made it 5-0, or that 5-0 win made it 3-3. So Singapore constantly relying on the sweep to get them back into the matchups, into the fight. This is what led to match 9, which was match 7, which was the pivotal match of the series. Australia picking the Hayate. They were the second pick, the home team picking second, as we know. Singapore picking the Bayman first, so Australia picking the Hayate into that Bayman was able to make it work with a 5-3 win. I believe the stage helped them as well in that match on Sanctuary. They had 2 straight matches on Sanctuary. They did lose match 6, which they played on Sanctuary, which was the sweep for Singapore, but nonetheless, Australia making that stage and that pick work. They win that fight 5-3, and Australia will close it out with the sweep to win the series 5-3. They improved to 5-3. Singapore drops to 2-6. They would need a loss from Mexico later in the day to ensure they would not slip into the relegation zone, as the worst team in the league is relegated at the end of the season down to Division 2. More on that situation later. But first, let's take the division standings. South Korea coming into day 10. They had the bye, and they were bumped to second by Hong Kong. Hong Kong with the +10 fight difference, they take that first spot, the division lead. But 3 teams on 5-3. South Korea with the +6, they sit in second. Australia with just the +3, they're going to sit in third place. Japan 3-5 after their defeat. They go down to 4th place. They are a game ahead of Singapore, who are on -17 fight difference now. and they are outside looking in on the playoff picture. Still within a game, so still within a shot. Plenty of fighting left to be played, but nonetheless, it's Japan who occupies the last playoff spot in the Pacific Division at 3-5. And that would move us on to fight number 3 on the day 10 of this Dead or Alive Premier League. Finland versus Denmark. We go over to the European division and trading sweeps back and forth. Finland coming in at 3-4, Denmark coming in at 3-4. One of these teams finishing the first stage at 500, and they would trade sweeps back and forth for the first 3 fights. And that gave Denmark the 2-1 advantage. But a pivotal game 4 would be the key factor here for Finland. They would pick Hanukkah first. Denmark picking Leon into that, so 2 kind of more slower, clunky characters, a little bit difficult to handle. Hanukkah though, a little bit more speed, I would say, than Leon, and that was the difference here, picking up a huge 5-4 round victory. That match on Sakura. They played the second match on Sakura. Finland won that one in the sweep. They played match 4 on Sakura. Finland also wins that one, but this time in 9 rounds. They would actually come back to Sakura later in game 7, and Finland would again take that. So Denmark not really having a lot of success in picking that stage. Obviously, second team here, team mentioned on the right, is the home team. They get to pick the stages, and it was Denmark picking Sakura 3 times and losing 15 rounds to 6 combined on Sakura in game 2, in game 4, and in game 7. But back to the overall flow, trading fights, but then Finland taking game 5 on a sweep to go up 3-0. Denmark fighting back 5-1. That's when they picked the Sakura for game 7 with the series leveled. Finland would take that 5-2, and Denmark would not get a round off of them in game number 8. Finland winning the series 5-3. They improved to 4-4. Denmark going down to 5-3. Jumping back into match 4, it was Canada versus the United States. These 2 teams neck and neck throughout the first 6-7 days of the Premier League before they had to fight each other. Canada coming in 5-2, very good +12 fight difference. It was good for 3rd overall in the league, but only good for 2nd in division, as the United States was ahead of them at 7-0, undefeated, looking to end the first set of double round robin games undefeated, +17 fight difference. The best team in the league. They started Canada with a big sweep, that one on coming soon, but the United States would answer back. A 5-1 win on Lorelei Upper, followed by a 5-2 win on Street Lower, and a 5-2 win in the Forest put the United States up 3-1, and it was all them from there. The pivotal game, game 5 on this one, it went all 9 rounds. It was Raidu for Canada, and a bit of an interesting character, a bit of a powerful character, and picked into it was the Lei Fang. But Lei Fang is United States specialty, but nonetheless it is a bit of an odd choice into the Raidu, and they made it work though. That was the key thing. Dead or Alive was the stage, and the Lei Fang with the low attacks into the power combos helped use the danger zone to the advantage of the United States. They would win that one 5-4. They would go up 4-1 in the series before they closed it out on Sky City Tokyo 5-1. So the United States improves to 8-0. They were guaranteed to finish as the best team in the league at the end of the double round robin stages, 8-0. Canada dropping to 5-3 after a 4-0 start from the Canadians. They go 1-3 in their remaining games and finish the first set of double round robin games at 5-3. More on this division later. Now jumping into fight number 5 out of 8 on the day. It was France versus Australia. We go over to the Mediterranean division. The 2-5 French, they need to improve to have a shot of making the playoffs in a completely wide open division, and they would go up against the 4-3 Austrians. France would start with the sweep, but the Austrians would fire back with a big 5-3 win, a pivotal 5-3 win against the French. That match on Primal, and then they would play on Primal again for another 5-3 win. That was the key changing moment. It was Brad Wong for the French, a very good character for the French, countered by the Kokoro for the Austrians. Played on Primal, and the Austria just able to pip that one. And then it was Bass picked by France, another good, consistently strong character for the French, picked against a Helena for the Austrians. Again, they played on Primal, and again, the Austrians had the 5-3 result go their way. France would answer back with a sweep to level the series, but the Austrians would come back in Game 5 with a sweep of their own to go ahead 3-1. The French again would answer back, this time 5-1 to level the series at 3-all, but then the Austrians found a little bit extra to close the door, dropping just one round in their final two fights. The Austrians win the series 5-3 over the French. They improved to 5-3 on their record as well. The French will drop to 2-6. They will remain on the outside looking in the Mediterranean division. Over to fight 6. It is Ireland versus Mexico in the Atlantic Division. Mexico coming in here 1-6. They needed a win to claw themselves out of the relegation zone. They were guaranteed to claw themselves out of the relegation zone with a 5-3 win or better. Ireland at 3-4 with a -4 fight difference. They were looking to do something to put some distance between them and fourth place United Kingdom, who sat at 2-5 coming into the day. 2-6 as they had to bye. This one, all Ireland. They start with 4 huge fights, dropping just 3 rounds in the opening 4 fights. 5-0, 5-1, 5-2, and 5-0. This before the Mexicans answered back with a sweep. And then a big win for Mexico actually in Game 6 for the 5-3 win. That one on coming soon. But then Temple of the Dragon, Ireland able to sweep it. So Ireland in their 5-fight wins, dropping just 3 rounds, dropping just 13 overall in the series. They take an impressive and unchallenged 5-2 win over the Mexicans. They improved to 4-4, guaranteed to finish the end of the first double round robin set at 500, and the Mexicans dropped to 1-7. They're now a game outside of safety at 1-7. But let's take a look at those Atlantic Division standings. That wrapped up the Atlantic Division for round 10. Here are the standings. United States, the only unbeaten team left in the league. They are 8-0. They now have a 3-game lead over their Canadian rivals, who are 5-3. And after their 1-3 second half of that first stage, they still maintain second place. It's only by a game, though, over the Irish, who are at 4-4, which is the -1 fight difference. The UK sit at 2-6, while Mexico sits at 1-7. Also in the relegation zone, as they are the worst team in the league. Fight 7 on the afternoon in day 10. It was Belgium versus the Netherlands. Huge opening first fight between the two. These two teams, Belgium at 6-1, the Netherlands at 3-4 coming into this. Belgium looking to keep pace with the United States to try and maintain within arm's reach of being the best team in the league. The Netherlands at 3-4, looking to get back to 500 at the end of this first stage. The pivotal game 1, it was Belgium picking Raidu first. Rig was picked into it by the Netherlands, but Belgium prevailed in that fight, 5-4 on home, starting on the inside of home. And from there, Belgium would dominate. They would take 2 straight sweeps, 3-0 to start the series. The Netherlands would claw themselves back 2 fights, 5-1, 5-2. Belgium going up 4-2, though, in Game 6 with a 5-2 victory over the Netherlands. Game 7, the Netherlands would claw it back to take their third with a 5-2 win of their own, but Belgium shutting the door in Game 9 to go 5-1 to win the series 5-3. Belgium improves to 7-1. They're guaranteed to finish as the division leaders, and they're guaranteed to finish second in the league. Netherlands dropping to 3-5, and that leaves the European division picture like this. Belgium sitting in the top of the group at 7-1. They're 3 games ahead of the 4-4 Finns, who, with that 500 record and a -6 fight difference, sit in second place. Meanwhile, 3 teams at 3-5 sit between 3rd and 5th. Norway with just the +1 fight difference at 3-5, which is actually a good fight difference for having a losing record. They sit 3rd. Netherlands will sit 4th with -3 on their fight difference as the tiebreaker. Denmark sitting outside, looking in on the -8 fight difference, but certainly 1 game separating 2nd through 5th, all to play for, with just 12% of the league played. That led us to our final fight of the afternoon for the Premier League, Switzerland versus Spain. We're going back to the Mediterranean division. The Swiss coming in at 4-3, Spain coming in at 3-4. Spain hoping to set both teams at 500 by the end of the afternoon, and the Swiss looking to pull ahead as they sat 3rd in division coming into this matchup with just the -1 fight difference. But it was all Switzerland. Two 5-2 wins to start. That gave them the 2-0 advantage. Spain fought back 5-1, but Switzerland again pulling off the 5-2 win in Game 4 before a sweep in Game 5 put them 4-1 up. They dropped a 9-round decision for Spain, but the crucial thing is they let that not phase them at all. Came back, reset in Game 7 very crucially, and won that fight 5-1. That gave them the 5-2 win, an impressive 5-2 win over the Spanish, and the Swiss will finish 5-3. Spain dropped to 3-5 after this fight, and this is how it left the Mediterranean division. Portugal at the top, but look at those standings. First through third is separated by just a 7-fight difference. Portugal on +9, they will finish the first set of double round robin games here as the division leaders. Austria 5-3 as well, but just two fights behind on their fight difference. They have one more, but they've dropped more in the process. +7 for them nonetheless. They sit second. Switzerland secure their third place spot with that 5-2 win. They go 5-3 with a +2 fight difference. Spain dropped to a -10 fight difference for a 3-5 team. They sit fourth, and a game behind them are the French at 2-6 on the outside looking in. That's the end of the Dead or Alive Premier League for the results of Day 10. Now, after that, we kicked over to Division 2, the division right below. 6 teams in this division fighting for a spot in the playoffs to try and come up to the Premier League next season. We started with China versus Argentina. This one a global division matchup. One matchup in a group for this day. This was Day 5, so not quite the end of the first set of double round robin games. That comes at the end of the next round. But nonetheless, Day 5, China 2-1, Argentina 1-1 coming into this. Here's how they played out. Argentina with a big 5-1 win to start. China with a huge 9-round victory in Game 2 to level the series, but then Argentina taking 2, dropping just 2 rounds in the process in Games 3 and 4 before the pivotal Game 5. Here, the 9-round win for Argentina. It was Raidu for China, a very popular character so far we've seen across all 3 divisions. Zach was picked into it by Argentina, and there was just not enough answer from China to take that victory. 5-4 for Argentina. That match on Forest, lots of back and forth action. China would take the next match actually 5-2, but Argentina shutting the door in Fight 7 with a sweep. Argentina will win the series 5-2, and that will leave the global division standings like this. China is still in the lead, but they will go into with the next round with the bye. New Zealand having the bye this past one, Argentina at 2-1 +1 fight difference. New Zealand at 1-2 with a -3. So New Zealand will need the sweep. Or no, they won't actually because of the fight difference. But nonetheless, they will need a win in order to try and secure themselves second place. Top 2 teams in each division will get a playoff spot at the end of the season. 10% of this season has been played though. So plenty of Division 2 action also still yet to come. We move over to the other matchup, Italy versus Brazil. This is in the Central Division. Italy starts with a huge 5-3 win before it's traded back in the same manner by Brazil. Believe the stage helped Italy there in match 1 as it was on Dojo. Not a very popular stage. A lot of dislike amongst the community for it. But nonetheless, pickable in this league. Game 3 was a 5-0 sweep before Brazil traded that sweep back, and Italy answered again with the sweep in Game 5, 5-0. This before the pivotal game of the series, the Game 6, Italy picking Mai Shiranui, the guest character, Brazil picking Genfu, and Mai just too quick. Genfu, very good character in this matchup, but nonetheless, Mai just too much for Brazil. That was a 5-3 win. That match took place on the desert wasteland, or I beg your pardon, on depth. The danger zone being really used to Mai's advantage. And then Italy with the sweep in Game 7. That improved them to 3-1. Brazil dropped to 2-1. So no undefeated teams left in Division 2. This is how it set up the Central Division standings, though. Italy going into the bye next round on the 3-1 record. Brazil 2-1. They still hold on to second place by 2 games over the winless Germans. So Germany going in, needing a win, hoping for a win, but guaranteed to finish bottom of their division, looking to get out of the relegation zone. They currently sit in as the worst team is relegated to Division 3 at the end of the season. This has kicked us over to Division 3. Division 3 started with an absolute blockbuster. Peru versus the Philippines. Peru came in at 4-3. They were looking to try and make up ground, maybe take one off the Philippines, who are entering as the league's best team, Division Three's best team right now at 6-1 with a plus 13 fight difference. Back and forth, Peru taking the opening two fights 5-0, 5-1 before the Philippines answered back with one. Peru then taking the next two fights. They had the 4-1 lead, but it was not enough in this series. The Philippines with two straight sweeps to put it at 4-3, still in the Peru's favor before a pivotal game 8. Hayate for Peru, Zach picked for the Philippines, and the Zach was able to come out on top. The Philippines using Zach and Scramble, starting on the lower side to their advantage. The Philippines would shut the door on lower light upper in Game 9 with a 5-0 sweep, and the Philippines fought back from a 4-1 series deficit to win this match 5-4. That would improve them to 7-1. They're guaranteed to finish top of the division and top of the league at the end of the first set of double round robin games here in Division 3. Peru dropped to a 500 record of 4-4. That set up the second match in the Eastern Division, Malaysia versus Chile. Chile coming in 3-4, Malaysia 1-6. They were the worst team in the league. They went 0-6 before they got their first win, but they got their first win nonetheless last round. This round looking to continue that momentum. It was not to be. The Chileans with a big 5-3 win and a 5-0 sweep over Malaysia in fights 1 and 2. Fight 3, the 5-1 win for Chile before Malaysia answered back with a sweep. Chile answered with a sweep of their own in Game 5. That should be 5-0 in Game 6. But Malaysia getting the sweep nonetheless. That gave them their second fight. They were down 2-4 before the pivotal and final game closed it out. Leon for Malaysia answered by Alpha 152 for Chile. And the Alpha 152 from Chile was enough, just quick enough as well, to win this fight on lab, which favored Leon, which was an odd pick for the Chileans to use that Alpha 152, but nonetheless they made it work to their advantage with a 9-round win. That gave them the 5-2 victory. Chile would finish the first stage of double round robin games at 500, 4-4. Malaysia dropped to 1-7. There is no division below Division 3, so there is no relegation zone, but Malaysia will finish the first set as the worst team. Here are the standings in the Eastern Division after that first set of double round robin games. The Philippines with a 3-game lead over everybody else. They sit at 7-1 at the top of the division, and then 3 teams from second to fourth are tied on 4-4 records. Chile get the tiebreaker with the +2 fight difference. Peru's is level with a ±0. They're in third place. Vietnam take up the final playoff spot at -4 fight difference of 4-4. Malaysia 3 games out of the playoffs already on just a 1-7 record. Now that kicked us over to the Western Division matchups. Sweden versus Egypt to start. Egypt coming into the matchup 4-3. Sweden coming into the matchup 4-3. So somebody guaranteed to finish at just 4-4, while somebody finishing 5-3 on the end of the day. And it was all Egypt to start. 3 big fight wins, 5-3, 5-3, 5-1 to go up on the Swedes, and then 5-1 victory for the Swedes to pull one back. But this is before a very pivotal Game 5 took place. Hayate for Sweden picked into Bass for Mr. Strong. Very strong countering from the Egyptians, and Bass used completely to the effectiveness that they would have liked and hoped in picking that character on the ends of the earth as well. So using the stage and the constant drops to their advantage. This before the 5-2 win by the Swedes on Sahara put the series back at 4-2. But the Egyptians then finding Game 7 5-0 to win the series 5-2. Egypt will improve to 5-3. Sweden will drop to 4-4. Second game in that division that day, South Africa versus Poland. Both these teams as well at 4-3. So another team guaranteed to finish 4-4, and another one guaranteed to finish at 5-3. and it was all South Africa. South Africa started 5-1 win before they dropped the sweep and a 5-2 decision to the Poles, but then the afterburners came on for the South Africans. A huge game 4 was the pivotal moment here. Brad Wong for the South Africans, traditionally a strong pick for them, used very well against Leon for Poland, which was also a traditionally strong pick for Poland, but nonetheless a slugfest of a fourth game. That one taking place on ends of the earth as well, and South Africa able to edge it out. Poland's confidence completely shot after that game, and that led to the results of the next three: 5-1, 5-1, 5-0 to close out, dropping just 2 rounds in the final 3 games. The South Africans, they improved to 5-3. Poland drops to 4-4. Here's the Western Division standings at the end of the day. 5-3 for the Egyptians. They lead by just 1 fight on the tiebreak over the 5-3 South Africans, who have just a +3 fight difference compared to the Egyptians +4. They're only a game ahead of 3rd and 4th, though. Sweden and Poland also only separated by 1 in the fight difference, but 4-4 records for both. Sweden with the -1 fight difference, Poland with the -2, and the Israelis looking out on the outside, looking in 2 games outside of the playoffs at 2-6. Finishing 9th overall in the league at the end of at the end of day 10. So now here come the matchups. The matchups for all the leagues. Day 11 is going to see South Korea versus Hong Kong in the Asian division, as well as Japan, or in Pacific division, as well as Japan versus Singapore. It will be Australia with the bye on day 11, so a huge matchup between the South Koreans and Hong Kong there. To start the day. In the Atlantic Division, we'll have the 2-6 United Kingdom going up against 4-4 Ireland, while the 1-7 Mexicans are playing the 5-3 Canadians. Canada on the slide need to use this fight against the worst team in the league to try and reset that momentum. Going into the European Division, we have a ton of huge matchups. Norway versus Finland. They're in a mid-table clash, and then Denmark and Belgium. The Belgians at 7-1. They look to keep things rolling at the top of the division, maybe improve to 8-1. And then in the Mediterranean division, we have Portugal versus France. Portugal looking to maintain their spot at the top of the division. They started 4-0 before they slipped as well, down to 5-3. Austria versus Switzerland as well, with a huge mid-table clash there between 2nd and 3rd in that division. Over in Division 2, round 6 to come. This will come after round 12 of the Premier League, so they have a whole round and a half to reset here. Brazil versus Germany in the Central Division. Italy going to be on the bye there, and then Argentina versus New Zealand as well. Or I beg your pardon, China's on the bye in the Central Division. The Global Division, Argentina versus New Zealand. Italy will be on the bye in that division as well. Division 3, the final matchups there in Division 3. Egypt versus Poland in the Western Division, and South Africa versus Israel. Sweden has the bye, whereas Malaysia and Vietnam in the Eastern Division. Huge matchup between those two. And then the Philippines at 7-1 will look to maintain their spot at the top of the league. They will go in looking to go 8-1 against the Chileans in the Eastern Division. Peru, the team with the bye there. That wraps up your Dead or Alive League update. The end of round 10 across the leagues and round 3 in the 2nd Division. We'll be back with another update after round 11 for both the Premier League and Division 3, which comes next. This is Benyakage Asashin saying thank you very much for watching.